So President Trump shared this video of Joe Biden on his Twitter and the media saying it's deceptively edited. Let's take a look.
Turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. We can only reelect Donald Trump.
It's definitely pretty funny. CNN says, facts first, fact check. Trump and his campaign promote dishonestly edited Biden video. Politico, manipulated media. Twitter applies new label to edited video of Biden. So even Twitter is labeling it manipulated media. I don't like fake news from either side. I know how people can take clips out of context and even edit them together to make them look like something totally different. Take clips totally different. So let's watch this clip in full context.
Positive campaign and turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. We can only reelect Donald Trump if, in fact, we get engaged in this circular firing squad here. It's got to be a positive campaign, so join us. Folks, we're building a coalition. We're building a coalition that most successful presidents of our lifetime, Barack Obama, had started. We're doing it!
So is it fake or edited out of context? You could say that they could have included the last 5 or 10 seconds of what he said, but I think most people know that Joe Biden messed up speaking, and that clip by itself was just hilarious. I mean, let's be honest, even the crowd of Joe Biden supporters starts laughing when he says that.
Because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. We can only reelect Donald Trump if, in fact, we get engaged in this circular firing squad here.
Clearly, it's funny. And here's the thing. I don't like out of context videos. I don't like lying. I don't like fake news. I've heard a lot of people say that Joe Biden just has a stuttering problem. But let's be honest, even if you support this guy or the Democratic Party, he has a lot of gaffes, and it doesn't really have to do with stuttering. Seems like a deeper issue here. Check out some clips edited by a group called Redfish.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other by. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Well, I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. My long friend, time friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. 150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. Why attack Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Wait to debate him on stage. I want people to see me standing next to him and him standing next to me. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. Thanks for your time. Please come back in less than 13 years, sir.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Or check out this clip where he says, "Oh, Biden-Bama."
So, folks, you want to nominate a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, a proud Democrat, an oh, Biden-Bama Democrat. Join us.
When President Trump was running, they had no problem questioning his health or his mental fitness for presidency, as I think an honest media should. It's the president of the United States, especially when they're 4 years older than President Trump is, or more. It's worth considering if they're all the way there. And since the media seems to be so interested in clips taken out of context now, let's see how they handled another clip that was totally taken out of context. You probably remember one of Trump's first speeches where he says they're bringing crime, they're bringing drugs, they're rapists, to paraphrase it roughly. How did CNN cover that? Let's look. Trump basically called Mexicans rapists again. So they're insinuating that Trump called all Mexicans rapists pretty much. The Washington Post, they're rapists. President Trump campaign launch speech 2 years later annotated. Daily Beast, Trump defends calling Mexicans rapists. Finally, somebody telling the truth. PolitiFact, Tim Kaine said Donald Trump says all Mexicans are rapists. PolitiFact rated that false. Thank you, PolitiFact, for telling the truth there. But oddly enough, they weren't all over that, calling it edited out of context, and most people still don't know how that one was edited out of context. Let's watch this clip from Mike Cernovich's Hoaxed documentary so you can see for yourself.
We can disagree with some or several of Trump's policies. I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm talking about what he said and how it compares to what the media literally portrayed him as saying. When Donald Trump kicked off his presidential campaign at Trump Tower, he goes down the escalator and he gives a speech in which he says, all Mexicans are rapists. This isn't just a general impression. I mean, this is something that was said repeatedly on CNN, Time Magazine, CBS, Washington Post, Politico, Huffington Post. Repeatedly, time and again, we find them literally saying that Donald Trump said Mexican immigrants are rapists. A horrifyingly disturbing and grotesque thing to say. If Donald Trump said that, then absolutely he should drop out. The fact, of course, is that's not quite what he says. What he says is, when Mexico sends people, they're not sending their best. They're sending people that have lots of problems. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people. And what he did say, was graceless. It was inappropriate. But gosh, he didn't say that all Mexicans are rapists. That's just not what he said. He's complaining that somehow he thinks the Mexican government is sending people that have lots of problems. But the media fixated on 2 or 3 words, they're rapists, and decided that the noun there must be the worst possible interpretation, meaning all Mexicans. Every single Mexican, children, nuns, old people, all of them are rapists. And what a shame that Donald Trump said that. And he explained himself repeatedly. He went around praising Mexicans in multiple states again and again, saying they're good people, they're wonderful people. I want them to come in legally. The media never cared. What they cared about was this cartoon to not echo a stereotype, create a stereotype that I had never even heard of, that all Mexicans are rapists. What's stunning about these stories, these memes, is that even despite their being so incoherent, the media is able to just keep them going endlessly by systematically neglecting every shred of evidence against the story and reading between the lines with everything that seems a little off color.
And feel free to check out that documentary in full. What was extra disgusting and bizarre about how the media treated that one was not only that they created their own stereotype, which has been dishonestly fueling racial tension and division in this country, from the people who claim to be against racism and wants everyone to unite, they seem to always be stirring and fanning the flames of racism themselves. But what's extra annoying about how they kind of lied and took that completely out of context and even just kept adding on to it, making their own story, was the truth that they just don't want to talk about in that statement. A very liberal organization, Huffington Post, did an article in 2014 before Trump, and they just completely melted into oblivion. 80% of Central American women, girls, are raped crossing into the United States. Most news sources have covered the human trafficking issue at the border, including CNN themselves. So when we're talking about rape at the border, and liberal news outlets are estimating that 80% of women from certain areas are getting raped, I mean, that's a big number, 80%. Shouldn't be that hard to figure out what bringing drugs, bringing crime, raping, what he's talking about. But they, of course, left out the context of that and created their whole new stereotype that he never said, which is that he said all people from that country are raping people. So the point of this video is simple. If you hate Trump, then you just don't believe anything he says. If you love him, you think nothing else is real, everything's perfect. And this is a very narrow window when we're talking about millions of things and possibilities that if we want to grow and get better as a country, we can't think so small. That's my thoughts. Have a beautiful day, and I'll be back with more videos.